Hello and welcome for the quest for the best director podcast, aka the greatest movie director podcast bracket ever, aka whatever you want to call us. My name is Matthew Moore, and joining me is a guy who I would go to a dormant island for, Caleb Ferguson. Caleb, I know you're sick, buddy. Shouts to you for that. How are you feeling overall?
Well, besides that, I'm hanging in there, doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm all right, dude. Life is stressful, but I'm getting through it.
We always have this pod to de-stress, in our
Yeah,
time of need.
for real. And also joining me is the guy who, even though I keep trying to quit the podcast, he pulls me back in. Derek Schwarzinski. Derek, what's up?
Technically, the volcano on the island's active.
Yeah,
So,
that's
just
true.
like my sexual libido,
Whoa. Okay,
Whoa.
that escalated.
they called me the raging bull, as they would say.
Can you save that for minute 40, Derek, when no one's listening? Thank you. But yeah, this is the Quest for the Best Director Ever podcast. Each week we'll be having two directors pit against each other, and we'll be examining for round one their fifth best movie. So this week we have Roberto Rosselini versus Francis Ford Coppola, a battle of the Italian stallions. We'll be examining Roberto Rossellini's movie Stromboli and Francis Ford Coppola's movie The Godfather Part 3. This is each of their fifth best movies according to theyshootpictures.com. And with that, which one do you guys want to start with? Godfather, Stromboli, any strong preferences?
Let's start Stromboli, because
I know we have a lot of hot takes.
movie.
Okay, sure. Let's start Stromboli. There's gonna be hot takes in The Godfather movie.
I have some hot takes on Stromboli, too, so
Then
maybe
Derek,
we'll
give
see
us
what
your. Well, first let me set the scene. Stromboli is one of the more controversial movies of all time. It stars Ingrid Bergman. The first movie in the kind of the Bergman Roberto Rossellini pair with the Bergman Roberto Rossellini pair, which caused a lot of controversy as they had a romantic relationship, despite the fact that both of them were married. It is about a woman named Kay, not Kay. That's the Godfather. Karine, who is runs away with man Antonio, who was in the army, just so she can get away from where she was. She moves into kind of this not deserted island, but very small, isolated, a better word, island. And she hates it there. The women are kind of judgmental, etc. And she ends up then trying to run away, to questionable success. Derek, give me your volcanic hot takes on this movie.
Well, I want to start with the fact that this is supposed to be like kind of a big deal movie for the neorealism movement in Italy, which is like the movement that focuses on authenticity and emotions and portrayals of them and like human situations, like, in this case, running away from your husband because, not satisfied with that situation, and so on and so forth. Yet, in this case, what happens is, or usually, is that all the characters are, portrayed by actors who have either never acted before or are very unknown. Yeah, we have Ingrid Bergman, obviously a huge actress of her time, still is.
Yeah.
So I feel like that kind of, I don't know, it kind of feels off for this is such a big film for the neorealism movement. So that was just like a little thing.
I think it's kind of counter to the neorealism.
Neorealists. Yeah, that kind of honestly kind of put me off a little bit, but not too much. So that was just the thing that was like that stuck out for me to the beginning. And then it was kind of like, okay, I get in this movie kind of expecting, some authenticity and whatnot, and yet character, and like isn't very like authentic. I feel like Karen's very like straight up awful human being for the most part. Yet it feels like we're almost expected to, be sympathetic. At least how it seems. Everything's set up. Like she's sent to this island where obviously she's an outsider. Yet we don't care at all that, or at least I didn't, because she's very manipulative of the whole situation. Like we see her in the camp, talking to her husband, or presumably her future husband. But she even tells like the fellow women that he's her like backup plan, which isn't very nice. So that's not a good start. And then she gets to the island.
Yeah, it's just the island. It's not getting better, right? Like everyone there, and it's not like they automatically hate her right away. You know what I mean? That's the worst part. Is she?
Yeah.
Ire.
It's kind of like just the way she acts kind of puts them off, which is understandable, different culture and whatnot. But then we see she interacts with the priest like immediately almost, and is like, "I don't want to be here. This is awful," even though she's like barely been there, presumably, and barely given any try. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of sucks you're here, but your attitude's kind of making this worse. I can't really be sympathetic with your situation in that case.
Yeah, speaking of like her interaction with the priest, this girl's a hoe.
Yeah,
she like throws herself at everybody to like, and not even for love, for like material gain. And I think we also kind of get this implication that like during the war she was like basically like the wife of this like high up architect guy. So like it's kind of the implication that she sort of like was with him for financial gain as well.
Hey man, got it, use it.
It's definitely a very raw portrayal of this character, which I kind of appreciate because it goes back to the authenticity or whatnot.
I guess your concern is just like, who do you like?
Yeah, it's like, it's almost like, who am I supposed to like in the story? The only
Antonio's likable
to a degree, but then he like ends up beating her.
Yeah,
I like that.
He starts beating her after he gets called cornudo because she's just talking to other men, which is definitely not likable at all in my opinion. The only likable character in this story is the priest, and we barely get to see him because he gets the first interaction with her, he's just like, well, just try to make the situation as best you can for your husband so you can wait till you have the opportunity to immigrate. And she's like, fine. And then she goes home and then takes away everything that Antonio, has in there, like pictures of his mother and like, the Virgin Mary, things that he cares about, and like put them away, which isn't very nice. And then she gets sad that he gets, nostalgic for the things that he used to have up, these important things to him, which isn't very nice of her to be like so unempathetic of, her husband in the first place. So that was kind of annoying. And then the priest, the second time she goes to the priest, he tries to bang him.
It was like, okay, I did like the priest a lot though, not just as like, I guess, not like the person, but also just like, he really redefines trope, right? Because he kind of comes across as your typical mentor character, Like, he's gonna show her how to appreciate this land, and I think in that way, he kind of puts on conventional a lot. Like, he's gonna show her this land, how to appreciate it, and she's gonna end up loving it. Like, that's kind of what you expect, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And then all she really learns how to do is like manipulate the land, try to kind of get her way with these men. Even to the point where she's trying to get her way with the priest, which is once again a pretty funny play on convention, right? You don't see like Pip isn't trying to like hook up with the with what's his face with the criminal in Great Expectations.
Yeah.
Like it is a really strong plan convention. But it does suck that like it comes at the cost of us kind of hating this protagonist, which never it's never your protagonist.
And then, so the vehicle of this whole story then becomes like your distaste for this woman,
Sure.
and like what crazy shit she's gonna do next.
Yeah, exactly. But some of it's like nice, crazy shit. Like when she goes to the boat with him, she wants to talk to him on the boat. I like that. That was a good move on her part, wasn't it?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
wouldn't say she's like entirely like unsympathetic. Like she's not sympathetic,
I
but
don't
like she's
know.
not evil.
I don't know. That's the thing, because like she. Going back to when like she first gets there and like puts all the nice things up, and then she's sad that her husband's sad that she took his things away. She's wakes up, starts crying, and like gets angry at him, like I hate this place. And then like we see her like
Yeah, but do
get
you remember his response?
he
Like
like shrug.
he's like, "This is my home. You're my wife. You stay here because I want you to. Because I
Yeah,
want to."
yeah, not very sympathetic as well. But then like he leaves, and then she starts crying. But she has like a sly look to almost camera, and then she like throws herself on the bed like over the money, and then looks around to make sure he's not there and takes the money. And so it's like almost
What a
like she
move.
set the entire situation to take the money.
Mogul moves, Derek.
Because like they were just talking about how she just says like, "Screw you and your money. I'm a high class lady. I'm not used to being treated this way or whatever." So I don't
You think
know.
that's it though? It seems more. You think she planned it though?
I don't know if she planned it or not,
Thing.
but it was definitely
She
not a
seems.
cool move.
She seems more like an opportunist. Kind of devious planner.
Oh, for sure. I think there's like a really cool aspect of her character, which is that we get this sort of like implied backstory, or at least I did, where like by her character traits that we see in this movie, we can see how they were probably developed during the war.
Yeah,
Like it's like always scavenging, always trying to stay ahead and get whatever you can just to make it by. And then like the war's gone, but like her survival instincts are still there.
Yeah, and we also like the movie is extremely subjective towards Kareen. Like a lot of this movie, and actually same thing with The Godfather Part 3, has people are speaking Italian, but it is not subtitled. Especially this movie, more so than Godfather Part 3. You know? And that's a movie where we're supposed to be feeling for Kareen. Right? It's not one of those things where like there's something behind her back and we know what it is and she doesn't, if she doesn't understand what it is, we don't understand what it is. So in that way you feel for her more.
Yeah, I think it's definitely true. Like she's by far like the like objective standpoint, she's like the worst moral character, but we see everything from her standpoint, so she kind of gets excused a little bit. Like, I don't know, I think like because she's our like window into this world, we naturally like view her in a bit of like a softer way, I suppose.
I think that's how you're supposed to, but I don't know if that actually worked in this film. At least not for me. I just spent most of my time thinking about how like kind of awful of a person this character is. That was like pretty much what I spent most of the time doing. And then it was kind of like nothing else stood out to me enough to like overshadow that, which I think was kind of like the problem. Like it would have been fine if like it was like two things. Like either the first thing, wasn't cool enough that Karen was like supposed to be like a character profile on what war does to people like systematically, enough so that I could kind of ignore it.
Yeah, I kind of like what do we think is like the like theme of this movie? Because it sort of is like about the personal growth of this woman, but I don't really know if she grows that much until the very end.
Yeah, that's another problem. Is that what we see? The story doesn't feel like there's any progress. It feels like we're kind of just being shown things on this island for a while, like an hour, and then all of a sudden we have, Corinne on the mountain finally having like a moment with God or something, which is kind of a cool shot because she's like going through the haze. Which, yeah, this is like probably the thing that I like the most is that like she's going through the metaphorical haze to like the metaphorical clarity of open sky, which was cool. But then that's like the only standout moment, like narrative wise.
Whoa, there's more standout moments than that.
Like narrative wise, I mean.
You mean narratively? Yeah, I think standout. Like, I think the shark scene is super duper cool.
Yeah,
and
the shark
both
scene,
the natural disasters, that and the volcano scene, I thought were really like watch.
Definitely very interesting.
Yeah, but I don't know, like, not too much, like, actually happens. We sort of just get, like, this, like, gradual, minor character progression, but she really doesn't, like, change that much.
Yep. And, yeah, that's the thing. We don't even know if she changes at all. We just know that, like, I guess based upon, like, the scenery change from, like, the cloudiness to the, open sky or whatnot, that some kind of change may have happened, but we don't definitively know that. Might just go back to her husband and be like the same awful person again.
Yeah, fair enough.
So it's kind of like the movie doesn't give us enough narrative-wise to make a judgment on our own. And then narrative-wise, there's nothing there other than that moment. So it's kind of almost redundant.
I do think that it sort of, like, in this way, like, captures as sort of realism, though. Like, in none of the characters being sympathetic, like, I feel like that's definitely very, like, I don't know, we're getting a very stark picture of what's happening.
Yeah,
I think she has more sympathetic moments you're giving her credit for. I think there's this interesting interaction. Oh my gosh, I wish I could remember more of it. With her and the kids. Do you guys know what I'm talking about on the beach?
Yeah.
Where there's some animal.
Yeah, when she's playing with the kids.
And it's like, you get this kind of like very... It's not a mom playing with kids vibe, you know what I mean? It's not nurturing, it's companionship, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It feels like, she's just hanging out with all the other little kids. And I thought that was interesting. Like, what has this war done to her, you know what I mean? Did she not really get to be a young adult? To even be a child?
Yeah, I think that's like a great example of the sort of like implied narrative that I think like really makes the story a lot more rich. Just in like the way it sort of like gives you this like fascinating character and then sort of leaves you the clues and you can kind of like fill in their backstory for yourself.
Yeah, but that's kind of lazy to be honest. I don't know. It's kind of like he couldn't fully, come up with a complete narrative himself. So it kind of left it up to interpretation's sake.
I will say as one of my least favorite kind of storytelling, I guess, greater concepts, which is the idea of like a story really just being one character, like driven by one character,
Mm-hmm.
Where obviously, we have other characters like Antonio and the priest, but it is the Korean show, right? And I would say 70% of our content, probably more than that, like 90% of our content has her in it, and I might even be still undervaluing it on that.
Yeah.
And also like Antonio does not grow at all. Like I was just saying, Korean doesn't grow. Like she at least has something dynamic going on, right?
Yeah.
Even if she's not growing, at least she is like changing in emotions. Antonio is like extremely static, and the priest is obviously, he's like cardboard.
They sort of set him up that way too by like describing him as like he's just a simple man.
Yeah.
He ain't got too much going on up there.
And it really feels like Roberto Rosselini, like, I think this, the story behind this is Ingrid Bergman sent him a letter saying, "I want to be in one of your movies." And it seems like he made a movie for Ingrid Bergman to be in, you know?
Yeah, that was another point. It feels almost masturbatory. Like it
Yeah.
felt like an excuse to shoot Ingrid Bergman like running around. To be honest.
It's like Revenant style, right? Like, let's get Leo this Oscar. Let's get Ingrid her art film. Which, it worked, I guess, but
And then the
yeah,
thing is,
Massport is a perfect word because like there's so many times, dude, where you see the lighting in this movie.
yeah,
You see like how much they'll sacrifice for Ingrid Bergman to be in the perfect lighting at all times.
yeah,
It's ridiculous. Like if there's a window, I guarantee it that Ingrid Bergman is next to that window, like always.
yeah.
It's nuts. Were you gonna say something, Caleb?
Oh no.
Well, I was gonna say that it was so masturbatory. Like the best shots in the movie are either surrounding like almost her, like masturbatory, like but almost unintentionally, like great. It's almost seems like because like the shot where she's like running through the buildings, like the Strahd or whatnot, and it's like slightly overhead. It's a pretty cool shot, to be fair.
And there's a really cool shot, yeah.
Because
And
it's
like I
kind
said,
of like
that,
this.
that final scene is obviously like amazing.
Yeah, but it's definitely masturbatory in nature as well. So it's kind of like you got to pick your poison. You got to take either Rosselini jacking off to Bergman or you got nothing.
Yeah. It's not much of a movie outside of that for sure.
I feel like it's sort of weird because like it's basically just this like sort of character drama, but then every once in a while it like breaks into this like some like random gorgeous shot that like you completely don't expect and is so different in tone to the rest of the movie, like the final scene and then also the scene where like they're all fishing. Like it just sort of breaks the structure of the movie a little bit. I think it's like really effective.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I was not like savvy enough to understand, but the scene or where like Antonio like gets the ferret to kill the rabbit, that was so gruesome and like raw. I didn't really get the point, but I thought that was just like an amazing scene. And
I think it sort of like represents Antonio as like that sort of like cuts away at like his sympatheticness. It's sort of what its effect is.
I think she's also more sympathetic. She's definitely more sympathetic than we're kind of putting her out to be. I think it's also not only like a war thing, but also just a woman in the 1950s sort of thing. Maybe I'm wrong, because when did Stromboli come out?
in like 1950s.
Yeah, so maybe giving Roberto Rosselini a bit too much credit and how poignant he was. But neither of you guys watched Mad Men, right?
Yeah, I've watched Mad Men.
You have, okay. She's a lot like Betty Draper. Like,
I don't know about
the
that,
kid,
man.
no, I know. Betty Draper is 10,000 times more sympathetic. Like,
Yeah, but Betty
is way more
Draper
sympathetic.
isn't like an awful person.
Yeah, exactly. But, like, a lot of the things that they do, it feels
I see
very
what you
better
mean.
drapery. Like, the thing with the kid,
Yeah.
like, that happens in Mad Men. And I almost wonder if, like, this is just symptomatic of, like, the woman in the 1950s. And maybe not. Maybe it's, like, coincidence that they both have to be around the same time or, they take place around the same time, story-wise. But I do think, like, there's something about when the husband's always going out and you're just entirely reliant upon this man, like, how frustrating that is. And you see, like, so much, especially for the first half of the movie, the shots are so saturated, you know? Like, she's always cluttered by people and things, and she never has her own space. And then about halfway through the movie, she has this kind of coming to God moment. You guys know what I'm talking about? Where she goes to the church or whatever.
Yeah.
And after that, the world kind of opens up, which is weird because she still has, like, some not so great behavior after that.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't think that was like coming to God moment. I think that was like facing God maybe.
Yeah.
But
coming
it
to
was
God
like
might be.
less facing God and more like facing like society representing God. because
Yeah.
all the people are there looking at her and kind of like shaming her for her presence.
Sorry, Caleb, with all the Betty Draper talk.
That's all right. That's all right.
So also that moment with the kid where like she hears crying and she runs through the buildings, and you get the cool shot of her running through the buildings like chaotically.
Mhm.
To the kid, that felt less like with Betty Draper, it felt like a motherly moment. With the kid, that felt like a desperation for like any kind of connection moment.
Really? That's exactly how the Betty
Sharon's
Draper scene feels to me. It feels like she is just lonely as fuck.
Yeah, it felt like she was lonely as fuck, but also like there's some like actual like empathetic like need to get like be like like caring.
I guess,
So
but Betty literally gives him her hair.
yeah, that's true.
That's not mother stuff. That's just. But, enough about Betty. Do we have any more thoughts on Stromboli? We haven't really touched on this whole religious thing. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, there's supposed to be like themes of religion, which I definitely I kind of got from like the volcano shit scene where she's like on top of the volcano and going through the clouds and whatnot. But it felt kind of like shoehorned in, if I'm gonna be honest, because like pretty much up to that point, there was. I'm not gonna say like no presence of religion, because obviously the people of Stromboli are supposed to be like super religious people, like straight up.
And also,
And
like, one of the main characters is literally your most important character besides the couple is a priest. So
yeah,
Also, the subtitle to this movie is Land of God.
yeah.
It's
So
Stromboli, Land of God. So
yeah, so the people are like supposed to be like ultra religious, and therefore like believe in modesty, and, caring for your husband as the Bible fearing people would, and whatnot. So it's kind of like this, stranger, almost, atheist, like a person, like coming to face with these people of God or whatnot, or at the very least, a religious person coming to face with, people of God, which is kind of interesting that the person who is seems to be like maybe through implication like look at what war does to a person in general is a religious person that has to meet with the people of God.
yeah. I mean, I also think. I guess I didn't see it as much of like a religious thing. I think we're just back to use the word religious, but it's more of a spiritual kind of theme, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's religious in terms of like the people on the island are very religious, but the God that Rosselini presents to us is not really defined. You know what I mean? We don't get any scenes of her praying, do we?
I don't think so. No.
Kind of just get this scene on the mountain, right? And it seems like this God, you can call it, like a more of like a Mother Nature sort of figure, you know?
Well, I think kind of historically, Mother Nature is God. Like
Yeah, but I guess I mean it's not like the Christian God, you know, as we think about it.
Well, I don't know, because the bush is on fire in the Old Testament, and that's God speaks to the burning bush and whatnot. That's kind of nature.
Was there a burning bush?
Man.
Yeah, I know. I understand nature speaks to man, but I'm just saying like this God isn't religion specific, you know? Like, I mean, every religion has like some connection between nature and God, but my point is, besides the fact that like the people on the island are clearly, some branch of Christianity, there's nothing indicating that the God that she ends up kind of having this moment with is the Christian God. Although I feel like this is probably ultimately not as important.
I do agree with you though. I think it is more of a Mother Nature type of thing. Even if, like with the name, it's like Land of God. It's like about
Yeah.
the land. Like it's about the earth.
Well, I
Why is it
guess
called Stromboli?
That's not the name of the island, right?
Yeah, I know, but why is the island called Stromboli? It's so strange. Okay. What are you gonna say, Derek?
well, I think it's interesting you said the land because Antonio does say like we will build and he's like stumbling for the world and he's like says it in Italian or whatever. Then he says Earth. We'll build new Earth or whatnot after because everything's burnt from the volcano and whatnot and destroyed. And then she's like, I don't want to build new Earth. Basically, like fuck your new Earth.
And I bet
want-
to the people at the time, it's kind of crazy that's an option. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's an endeavor for her to like leave, but it's like something people know can happen, right? I mean, how recent even is that you can just she can go to America, if she wants. All these people on this island go to America. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, sorry, little sidetrack on my part.
Well, the thing is, it's like it feels like this movie is like a collection of interesting ideas, but there's no narrative structure or seemingly a structure to like cohesively like kind of talk about them in like a movie format. And,
Well,
like,
one thing
this would be like a great collection of series of essays on like what wars does to people and whatnot. Maybe like a good like video essay or something, but I don't know.
But isn't the point of neorealism is that it's not necessarily supposed to fall into like a narrative sort of arc?
I don't know. It seems like most realism like movies or whatnot are supposed to have some kind of rhyme and reason. It's just supposed to be like about like authenticity. Like the characters are supposed to be like, or at least the narrative is supposed to be one of authentic nature, or at least explore something authentic.
Yeah, fair enough. What do you think about this whole volcano scene then? Where does that fit into everything?
I think it's like what I said. I think it's supposed to be like a moment where she goes from like a clouded state, maybe even a-religious, I don't know, to a moment of clarity. This got open skies, no longer clouded judgment. But the thing is, I don't know if it kind of like maybe explores the idea, but I don't know where it's going with it, to be honest, because the rest of the narrative doesn't give us an idea of where it's going with it.
I mean, it's kind of you think about it's like a moment like how fast things can change, right? Which is also kind of what her marriage is all about, right? She just tries something and it doesn't work out and everything gets destroyed and her life is devastated or whatever. But I don't know. Caleb, do you have any ideas what the volcano could represent?
It's sort of like, I don't know. To me, like if we go with this like idea of like God as the earth, it's like, I don't know, her finally like her sins are kind of catching up to her, I guess. Like she's finally like coming face to face with God in the form of this like earth and sort of being judged by it in a way, is sort of how it felt to me.
Yeah, actually, I think it's interesting to talk about the connection between God and the volcano. What if we're viewing this kind of wrong? What if maybe the volcano she thinks is a sign from God, you know what I mean? To leave this island. So she finds out about the other side of the island with the whole village on the other side. And she thinks it's a sign from God, and then and that's why she's so bold in her kind of exploring or her willingness to go up the volcano, which most wouldn't be willing to do. and then it turns out that God's just like, well, God, nature is just, it's not, nature doesn't favor anyone, right? Nature's just random.
Maybe. I think she was also just really desperate. And also, like, maybe kind of, like, naive.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, I think we talked a lot about Stromboli, and let's talk about the one movie people have actually watched. Another controversial movie in a different way, The Godfather Part 3. Caleb and Derek, I know both of you guys don't ever have things about The Godfather, so I'm going to set it up in a positive light. The Godfather Part 3 is the third movie in Francis Ford Coppola's masterpiece trilogy. It is about Michael Corleone and his kind of final war, this time with actually the Catholic Church, as he tries to kind of get a lot of money in this corporation called, I don't want to say it wrong, it's internationally, how do you say it? How do you say it? Oh, it's like immobiliers or something, right? Immobiliers?
Yeah.
Close enough. And faction of the Catholic Church doesn't want him to have a share in that. Different, for debatable reasons.
Well, it's not so much the Catholic Church partially as just the other dons, or is what I got. Like,
yeah, I guess it's true. It's coming from within the Catholic Church. They're using things, right?
Yeah.
Fair enough. So yeah, the other dons don't want Michael to be so powerful, so they're kind of trying to plan one last coup on him. It doesn't end up working out for them, although they do kill his daughter, Mary, played by Sofia Coppola, Francis Ford Coppola's daughter, who meanwhile
that's why she's in this movie.
What'd you say?
I said, so that's why she's in this movie.
Did you not realize?
No, she's just not a very good actress, so that explains it.
She's not terrible. Anyway, she has a relationship with Vincent, who is Michael's nephew, the son of his brother Sonny, who died in the first Godfather, who is more of a hothead, kind of a throwback to the gangsters of old. And with that said, what do you guys think of The Godfather Part 3?
This movie's dog shit. It's bad.
It's not that bad.
I'd say it's actually good. But
I'm with Derek.
It's a good film with a good narrative to an extent. Because, it starts off with, the party and whatnot. And yada, yada, yada. The party starts and, everyone's dancing or whatnot. And then you see, Vincent come in and it's like, who the fuck is this dude? Why is this? Who's this dude? Oh, he's hitting on that's his cousin? Oh, okay, that's cool. I don't really care about this dude at all, because this is my first time seeing him. But he just got in a fight with this dude, and he's starting to fight in Michael's office with this dude. Oh, he just bit this dude's ear off. That's cool.
That was so sick. That was so sick.
So it's okay, I understand this person very well. They're unscrupulous about who they go after sexually and romantically, and are kind of a hothead. Alright, I understand this character. I don't really care for him. Oh, okay, let me see. He's banging her while they're making food. Okay.
It's Italian food! It's Italian food! He bangs his cousin while they make Italian food. It's just such a parody of itself. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, okay, but I think you're pointing out the way you're phrasing Derek doesn't actually necessarily point out a flaw. I think where the flaw comes in is that you're supposed to like this character.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get to.
Issue, right?
That's my main issue is we're supposed to see I feel like he's set up to be the person we're supposed to be sympathetic for, because
yeah, it goes back and forth though, right? We'll get into it, but yeah, go.
But yeah, because Michael is the focal point of the entire series, and the third movie feels like it's trying to make this dude the focal point, that he's gonna be the they're gonna pass
if
the
there's a
torch
Godfather Part 4 and
Michael.
5, Vincent would be the star.
Yes, exactly. If there was, he'd be the star of 4 and 5. So it's kind of it feels like he should be more important. Like it feels like they give him only the scenes with the the cousin is how it feels like, which I don't think works. It's like not the person he should be with to pass the baton. He should be like hamming it up with the other Dons and like killing people and shit, which he does at the later half, which is like the best half. But like the first half of the movie, he just like banging the cousin, which is not what he should be doing if he's trying to get the torch.
Well,
So
what do you
it
think
feels like-
about Don Altobello's assertion that Vince, he knows what Vince is up to. He's just doing this to get power, maybe through the daughter.
That's an interesting point, but I don't think that actually would even work, to be honest. The other people in the family would just be like, what are you doing?
I mean, she's gonna be really
And like,
rich. If
Michael isn't dead yet. So,
Michael dies, it seems like he's gonna die, right?
yeah, we know he's gonna die, but
The
before
good
he
money's
dies,
on.
he's not gonna pass on the family to Vincent if Vincent isn't
Yeah, he
like...
passed it on to her, though, and she would.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, or maybe, I think the more likely possibility is that he's gonna pass it on to, Connie or Connie's children.
Well,
But
according to
this is
Don
how it
Altobello, she's the next in line for the corporation. Maybe.
No, she's definitely set up to be next in line. That's why she
Oh,
gives
I didn't
that
know that. Well,
Yeah.
really
if-
dumb speech
like,
in the beginning of the movie.
even if she's like the next in line for the throne or whatever, kind of like if that's the only importance he has is through her, through this character we kind of just meet as well. So these two characters are supposed to have like this big significance, yet you don't give a fuck about them until or at least Vincent till like the last half because he stops like interacting with her because that's like. Their romance is kind of like just forced on us when this is like how these people gain power isn't through romance. It's through, power plays and like killing people.
Yeah, it is questionable, right? Because it just feels like, why does it have to be this cousin?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Like, he could. Francis Ford Coppola isn't someone that really sticks to a strict time limit on these movies. I think at least Godfather Part 2 is well over 3 hours. I can't remember Godfather 1 is around the 3 hour mark. This one's obviously, 2 hours, 40 minutes. So, if you wanted to add another extra 20 minutes and, introduce like a love interest separate from her, I think we would be able to handle it,
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we wouldn't be too vexed. But he doesn't, so I feel like there is a reason for it. I just don't quite get why.
Yeah, and I think I understand the reason why is because like Michael and Vincent towards the later half are supposed to be like hand in hand working together and like emotionally invested in like the same things together. So like the moment when she dies at the end is supposed to be like significant for both the new head and the old head.
Yeah.
But the thing is, at this point, we still probably don't really care all that much about this character that dies. We only really care about how Michael feels about this character dying. And Vincent, if you like Vincent at this point.
Well, they don't even give Vincent much screen time in that scene, do they?
Yes, that's also the thing, because I think Francis, at this point, realized was like, yeah, this character's kind of bumming out. And there's no point to kind of focus on him at this point.
Yeah, I just think that, weirdly enough, this is not my biggest criticism I have of Vincent, or, at least it's not like there's no major plot inconsistency in that, just that it's just weird,
Yeah,
It just
exactly.
feels odd.
That's why it's still, like, not bad.
Yeah.
It is unnecessary.
Can I tell you my one big issue with the movie? This is just a little thing. So it's like, I don't want to say big issue, but I think that was the most annoying to me. There's a scene where Connie is talking to Vincent, and she's like, Vincent, you're the only one who has my father's, like, power or whatever, or my father's, I thought she hated her father. Isn't that the whole thing? Like, isn't Connie the one character who's, like, anti-mob, like, the entire first two movies?
Yeah.
Well, obviously Michael in the first movie, right? But then that changes. But when did she all of a sudden become basically, like, Dawn number 2?
No, this movie is bad because it retcons everything that happens in the first two movies.
It
Like,
does not
the
retcon. I'll
first
disagree
two,
with that. Continue.
not in a literal sense, but it basically undoes everything that we like emotionally built up. So like in the first two movies, you basically get this buildup of like the Godfather as an entity is like somebody you did not mess with. He is to be taken seriously at all turns. He will murder you and your family if you don't respect him. It's all about respect. But then like they just have these people disrespecting Michael Corleone, left and right, and then it completely undoes any sense of respect we have for what The Godfather is, both as a movie and as a position.
But the thing is, the reason that they're allowed to do that is because Michael was trying to give up the Godfather, right? It shows how pivotal this position is. It's once you show weakness, people will strike.
Yep.
Hmm.
And that's why the moment where like Vincent and Michael decide to kill all their enemies is so significant because it's kind of like Michael ideologically giving up on like the idea of being a legit human being anymore.
Well, I disagree, Derek, because what does Michael also do in that scene? He gives the power over to Vincent.
Well, yeah.
I think Michael, after this moment, he's leaving.
Yeah, that's why it's significant because it's like in his last moment, he wasn't legit like he wants to be. In his last moment, he did the thing he tried almost his entire life not to be. Well, I should say his entire, or most of his Godfather life, and before he became a god.
I agree. That said, first thing, I think Francis Ford Coppola is a bit of an excuse. I had a class last year on the Mafia, in cinema, and we read about how The Godfather Part 3 was actually Francis Ford Coppola had wanted nothing to do with it. But then the issue is he was trying to make movies. He made Apocalypse Now. That kind of flopped. It was super expensive. And meanwhile, Paramount is begging him for money. Or begging him to make a new Godfather, rather. We'll give you money. You should make Godfather Part 3. Make Godfather Part 3. And he's like, no. Finally, he got so broke he had to make it. And Paramount gave him 6 weeks to write the script.
Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah.
So you have to have sympathy for him there. And that said, where the parts where he wasn't rushed, his directing, I think Derek's probably going to talk about this a bit because he was talking to me beforehand, are really strong still. So you want to talk about that?
Yeah. Actually amazing. There are some shots that actually, there was one there's a few cool scenes in Stromboli. There's shots in this movie that fucking blew my mind. The scene where you get Neri, who's going to kill the Archbishop in the tower, slowly creeping up the stairs, and then he's in the shadow, in the darkness, and then you see the Bishop in the light, because he's light versus darkness. Ooh, that was so good. And then the moment comes when the guy pops out of the darkness to kill the Neri, pops out.
Mm-hmm.
It's so well timed. It's just the moment the priest steps down towards the darkness.
Yeah.
Neri comes out. I was oh, and then he throws him over, and it's so slow shot of him falling down into the pit. It's oh my god. That was that one got me.
Yeah, the thing is they have all these great scenes, all these great powerful scenes, cinematically powerful. Narratively, are just the follow up is so weak. You know what I mean? Yep. I think the helicopter scene also is really well done.
Oh yeah.
It's perfect. You really get the chaos. Setup's amazing. Everyone's realization of what's happening all at different moments. And the issue is this guy just killed off how many Dons, and no one's gives a shit about it. You know what I mean? It's just he did a bad thing. We're gonna punish him, but it's dude, these people just died. We're not gonna be no one's even sad.
Yeah, I think it's just a comment almost on the status of the mafia at this point. Is that all these Dons died and it didn't even matter?
Think so? I think there are a lot of comments on the mafia.
I don't think that's the case.
I don't know.
Because like otherwise, like why are we watching this movie? Like why do we want to watch a bunch of pitiful, washed up people? That's not
What's
fun
the
to watch.
point? I know it's
But I
not
don't
fun.
want
What's
to
the
watch
point?
that.
I think that's the point. Is that these people? This is like I don't know. This feels like it's in the time of like the fall of the mafia. It's
Yeah,
like
it's Sopranos, right?
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just,
obviously that's not entertaining. That's just depressing.
wow.
I think this isn't supposed to be a happy movie.
Yeah,
That's
I don't think this is a feel good movie. I do think it's interesting that we're kind of talking about this in terms of the action because I watched, I think Caleb did as well, the second Godfather before this one. You should get myself into
oh
it.
yeah, and Godfather Part 2 is my favorite Godfather. So
I think one thing that stuck out to me, here's my, I guess, Matthew's hot take of the day. Obviously, this movie is slower paced than the other Godfathers, right? That's not part of the hot take. And I think that might be one of the layman's criticisms. There's like a lot of scenes that like don't really move the action at all, right? Just people talking, you know, but they don't really impact the action whatsoever. That said, I think those scenes are some of the strongest in the whole franchise. Some of the strongest dialogue scenes in the whole franchise. Like, I think if we're talking about like non-action character scenes, this movie like is arguably best in terms of just those. Like there are a lot of really strong scenes. The issue comes is that the scenes that do move the action are really bad.
yeah, that's why it kind of becomes like a teetering act. It's like it's good. It could be like amazing movie, and then it's like kind of weak here and here. So it's just like but then it's like it's interesting. You said like person on person talking scenes are great because like one of the things I thought was like amazing is like the transition shot when he's like about to talk to the cardinal or whatever.
Dude, that's the scene I was thinking of too. Yes.
Yeah, that was the shot from like the hallway into the like courtyard was so perfect because you still get the lighting and the environment of the courtyard perfectly set up in contrast to like the actual hallway and whatnot. I thought that was so cool.
And it has like this sort of momentousness that is like so absurd, for two people talking, right? But it's such a big deal for Michael what he's about to do. So continue, but I think it also really helps.
So also, I want to bring it back to like the lighting, but the lighting of the hallway I think might be intentionally very dark.
Yeah, it is.
In the courtyard, very light because that's where the cardinal is. And the moment when like Michael starts, confessing his sins or whatnot, it kind of like, well, before that, it starts panning to like an angle from the hallway, so you get like the darkness on the wall, like on the pillars facing towards like Michael and the Cardinals like side/back, but I thought was really cool because like trees and whatnot in the light versus like the darkness of Michael's sin.
And that whole conversation, I wish I wrote down more quotes from it, but it was all so good,
Yeah.
I thought that was a super strong scene. Caleb, what you think about it?
Yeah, I actually like. I don't know. It's difficult because any scene with dialogue in this movie to me is just tainted by that poor writing. But I don't know. It definitely everything's acted well. That's like the thing. It's like it's this weird Frankenstein movie with like pretty decent acting for the most part because they have some like pretty good actors and actresses. But then like they're just delivering these like terrible lines.
This movie's definitely got a dad bod,
Yeah.
Like the arms looking good, but the base not so much.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, now can we go to the next scene where it's Connie talking to Michael? Once again, I have so many issues with Connie's movie, but this isn't an action issue. This is me being confused. Does she know about Fredo?
No, that's the thing.
No,
she still
nobody does.
Yeah, only Michael
does, right? But everyone assumes. Everyone seems to assume.
Well, that's the thing is Connie's like too afraid to assume.
Yeah.
Because if she assumes, then her brother
kills her other brother.
Yeah, and that's like unforgivable for her. It's like her brother Michael is supposed to be like a good one, pretty much.
And I love it. I love how they put that right after the confession scene, right? Because it shows that, like, despite the fact that he's confessing, the real life consequences don't go away, and that hit heavy. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and it's really easy for all the people who like aren't having to make these big decisions. But like for someone like Michael, who's really done something so unforgivable, even when God forgives him, and I really genuinely do think that Michael believes that God forgives him. The real consequences are still there, and it's still really tough for him.
While on the subject of like Fredo dying, I think that's like a massive narrative misstep for like the way this movie feels because like the end of Godfather Part 2 is basically like Michael has like become a monster, right? Like he's literally killed his family member when family is supposed to mean everything and all this stuff, and he's basically like devolved into basically just like a soulless monster. And then we jump into Godfather Part 3, and this guy's like a grandpa. He like doesn't feel like he has teeth whatsoever. It's just like this huge stark comparison where like he's not involved in crime whatsoever. He is making all these charitable donations and all this kind of stuff and like schmoozing with stockholders. It's like we just watched this guy have this like descent to becoming a monster, and all of a sudden he flips around and like all of that's what I mean. Like it's all undone. Like it doesn't feel like that fall to a monster means anything because he's not a monster anymore. He's just like a boring old dude.
Well,
That's
that's
the
the thing
issue,
is
right?
he's still the monster he was. He just trying his hardest to
Not
cover
to
it
be.
up.
And I think Caleb, some of your experience might remember the fact that like, yes, these movies are meant to be watched in chronology, right? But also, this movie took place like what 15 years after The Godfather Part 2.
Yeah.
Like it's been some
Exactly.
time for everybody, you know. I think the world might accept it a bit more than you're willing to accept some of these jumps because Michael feels like it's been forever since you've seen Michael on screen.
Yeah, that's true.
And then like it kind of just makes sense because like if you take into account like the years passed by, this man is no longer the man he was. But he still feels like the monster he is. As we
Yeah.
see like him breaking down while he confesses.
He doesn't. Yeah, he's still. And the issue is he's getting to a point in his life where like now he can't make the right decision. You know what I mean? Like nothing he
Exactly.
does is the right option. And that's why when like Vincent, I think that's where the Vincent scene's really powerful, right? Where Vincent's like, "Yo, we gotta kill this guy right now," and Michael knows like, okay, maybe it's the right thing to kill this guy, but ethically, it's not the right thing to kill this guy. And also on top of that, like, even if he kills this guy, there's always gonna be somebody else, right? This guy's just a front for another large group of people, anyways. So
And honestly, that's probably like the biggest misstep in this film for me is that there's the idea of this bigger conspiracy, yet we don't really get a glimpse of it before like,
2
Vincent
hours.
and Michael take him out after we get like kind of a glimpse of him with like Don Alizio and Altabello. So it's kind of like we get a glimpse of it, but we don't really get like the full thing of it before like till like much later. But I feel like it's kind of a misstep. We should have probably gotten like a little bit more teased at the very least.
I do agree. I think tease is what should have happened. I think one thing they're trying to do is they try to make Vincent into a tragic character, right? Where this guy, one common theme within all 3 Godfathers is kind of this nostalgia for a time that never was, right? And through the gangster genre as a whole, is a nostalgia for a time that never really existed. There really never was a golden age of the mafia. But Vincent, he really does believe there was, right? You see him talking about his father and how great he was, although we kind of know Sonny was questionable at best. And he just wants a street fight, you know what I mean? So when Vincent sees Joey Zaza, he sees this guy as the perfect street fight. He always puts it on like the level of the neighborhood, and how they got put on Joey Zaza before he puts a hit on them. And even after this helicopter strike, which is so clearly cannot be committed, Michael says it right away, like Joey Zaza, there's no way he did this. Vincent wants to get revenge on Joey Zaza because he wants to see it as, good old days, mafia boss versus mafia boss, when the spectrum's just become so much larger than that,
Mm-hmm.
And to compare to another thing that Caleb hasn't watched, it's kind of a Wire-esque, right? Where you have, in season 2, you have these guys work on the street level, fighting for things. Meanwhile, you have, like, the Greeks who are controlling behind the scenes, and the scope of them is just so much bigger than the detectives could ever have imagined.
Yeah, and so much more bigger than that they would even hope to apprehend.
What else did we like or dislike about the movie? I have some things,
Um,
so if you could,
yeah, I thought it was interesting how he handled shots in general. Like the perfect example that like was indicative of this for me was when someone comes in and then the bodyguards have to be sent away. You don't like see who came in. It's like that's not the important part, who came in, until like the bodyguards are sent away, and then we see the shift from like the doorway to like Vincent's perspective, and then it's like then it becomes important who came in, because it's
yeah,
like it's supposed to be like hush hush. The bodyguards aren't supposed to hear, and the bureau isn't supposed to see until they're supposed to. So I thought that was pretty cool how that's handled. And also at the end when like uh, Mary dies, or I guess her full name is Maria, but that's aside. When she dies and like Michael's holding her and then he screams and then like sound of his scream isn't heard, but you can like feel it. It is silent, and then he goes up for the second yell, and then you can finally hear the yell. Is like the first yell was just so much that you had to wait to hear the second one.
mm-hmm.
It's almost like the thunder after the lightning.
Yeah. I I mean, I think this whole final hour, Derek's kind of alluded to this a lot, it's really good, right?
Yep.
It's super, super strong stuff. You have this kind of 5 storylines all happening at the same time, this kind of montage of murder. And it's all interwoven with this opera. This opera, Cavalleria Rusticana. I wish I could say it better. Cavalleria Rusticana. I know, it's funny. Ironically enough, like Michael has issues saying it in the movie too, right?
Yeah.
But which is actually very interesting, but like great choice by Coppola. Cavalleria Rusticana is an opera that's actually about the beginning of the mafia, or at least in many ways, book is kind of pointed to as the beginning of the mafia, where it's kind of this story of these 2 Sicilians who basically they just get into a duel over a woman, and one of them kind of plays dirty and wins, and right, and ever since then, Sicily's been kind of seen as this wild place. The opera's based off of this short story. It's got very popular, and ever since then, Sicily was kind of seen as this wild place, and kind of within that, the mafia was born. And it's super interesting that throughout all of this, throughout this whole movie, which is about the end of the mafia, right? It's kind of ends with the beginning of the mafia. I'm not even sure why I did that, but I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that about the movie. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we had to read that short story for my mafia class. So, it's like, connection.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and Coppola does like he's still Francis Ford Coppola, right? Like he's not gonna put no time to like making a movie. It's just unfortunately he had very little time
Yeah.
put into the movie. So
At the very least, damn good for what it is.
So, I mean, I guess if not, we can get to the voting. Would you guys be down, or do you have anything else to say?
I don't have too much more to say.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Other than what that fishing scene in Stromboli was pretty like also vulgar and like raw, like the ferret scene. So I think that was interesting how there's those 2 scenes.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it was. Yeah, there's some interesting scenes in Stromboli. I feel we actually did Stromboli a bit of injustice, but it's okay.
I don't know about that.
Okay, so let's talk about. I think I know how you guys are both voting. So first 2 are other categories. Favorite character within both movies.
Well, I hate
Probably
to be.
Kareem.
I hate to be the the normie here, but I gotta say definitely Michael.
My favorite character is anyone but Connie. No, I mean, I actually like Vincent a lot. I like this kind of callback to this guy who just wants, and he does really fit well with the other two Godfathers, right? And also, it's funny how Sopranos takes a lot from his character. I think of this guy who just wants to be, a rough and tough fighter again. So I would go Vincent. Although I don't think it's the best performance, I think it's the best character. Now, best performance, I am agreeing with. Or no, best performance. Wait, Caleb, who's your favorite character? Is it Kay or Kareen? It's Kareen, right?
Kareen, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's definitely my best performance is Kareen. Derek, how about you?
Best performance?
Yeah.
Double
down on Michael?
Yeah, doubling down because that's Al Pacino definitely killed it.
Caleb?
I'm gonna double down on Kareen.
Okay.
I liked her.
Favorite quote?
Oh boy.
What was it?
Well, I have mine. I actually recorded mine. Hopefully this will work. If not, it's gonna be a tragedy. Let's see if you guys can hear this. Could you guys hear it?
No.
Oh. It was Don Altabello. Just a really random moment where he's just like, Tootsie Rolls! It just cracked me up so much.
Alright, I have a least favorite quote. It's
Go for it.
I don't remember who they're introducing, but they're introducing some character like at the house party in the beginning of The Godfather, where they're like, he dips his bullets in cyanide. And it's just like so whack, like trying to sound hardcore, but it's not hardcore.
Well, that's what Vincent is, though, right? He's someone who tries to sound hardcore.
Corny.
But isn't it Vincent that says that?
Yeah,
Wait.
He tells that to the girl. He tells that to the girl reporter who was like, could you introduce me to people and like whatnot and like get me in the know? And he's like, sure.
It's
I like
corny.
I liked it. Well, that's the point, though. It's supposed to be corny. He's like a corny character.
So. You're giving it too much credit. No, this is not supposed to be a corny character. He's supposed to be a cool character. But
No, he's corny. He's supposed to be someone who's like, he wants to be a mafia, but he's like, obviously can't be.
I think you're giving him way too much credit. I think he's supposed to be the cool hotshot badass.
Dirk, how are you on this?
I definitely agree with Matt. I think he was supposed to be like the brain dead kid who expects to be like the badass and all of it, you know?
Yeah, he expects to be a badass. He thinks he's a badass for sure.
No, because he like killed 2 people in his own home. He's like swinging guns. He's killing people. He's hardcore. He's awesome.
Yeah,
that's so
the thing.
cool.
Yes, but it's all for no reason. Like, it's just...
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's set up as like, oh, he found out that this Zaza dude who hates him, they sent killers after him. Ooh, by killing this first person. And it's like, oh, but that doesn't matter because he's like, obviously Joey Zaza is gonna send killers after him, and obviously, he's gonna try, get revenge and shit.
He sends killers after him because he literally tells that Michael should kill Zaza in front of Zaza. And yes, it's a cool moment, but then Michael immediately refutes it by telling him after, like, dude, you had a gun against these guys. Why the fuck did you kill both of them? Like, what were they possibly gonna do? And he's like, oh, but yeah, I think Vincent's a joke in the best way possible. So okay, that's Derek, your favorite quote.
I was gonna say probably when Michael's talking to the preacher or the cardinal. I can't remember what he says exactly, but whatever he fucking says, or whatever he says, like, I killed my brother, or I killed my brother, I killed my mother's son, I killed my father's son, and he's like, he hurt me, and then he's like, and he starts, he breaks down crying and whatnot. I thought that was a very powerful moment. I like that a lot.
I like that too.
Very simple, but it's like that's how it is. It's just like so raw for him, and I fucking felt that. But
Another
uh,
from my actual serious favorite quote. There's a point where Michael's talking to his kids, like towards the end of the movie. Not towards the end, kind of like towards the middle. But and they ask him like, why is like such a beautiful country so violent? And he just says history, and that kind of goes to the Cavaliere Rusticana thing, where Sicily is it's violent because people expect it to be violent, and all this stuff's happened in Sicily with between like the Italian Revolution and everything, where it's been ignored, and Sicily now just is Sicily now just is violence. So that was really cool. I'm gonna add one more favorite scene between the two movies.
Hmm.
I'll go the I
um,
think the volcano scene I thought was really cool.
I would
With her on
say
the volcano. Clarify.
I'm gonna quadruple down on a scene where the Cardinal and Michael are talking, 'cause that blew me away.
Yeah, it was really good. Caleb?
I'll say the fishing scene from Stromboli.
That was really fun too. We didn't talk about that. By the way, why the hell are all these people shouting while they're fishing? Did you guys notice that? Like,
Yeah,
they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
because they're happy.
That's-
They're getting money.
Yeah, I guess so. I just feel like you're scaring away fish, but they know better than I do. Okay, now, favorite movie. I know exactly both of you are going to vote from this conversation, but Caleb, what's your favorite movie? Which one did you like better, Stromboli or The Godfather Part 3?
Stromboli,
Stromboli. Shocker.
as you could tell. Yeah.
Mostly from your hate of The Godfather Part 3, I assume?
Exactly. Yes.
Derek?
Although I did like Stromboli. I thought it was a good movie.
I kind of pretty much, if I'm gonna be honest, I kind of hated Stromboli. So Godfather Part 3, because I actually thought it was a good movie.
And I'm super mixed. I kind of like both movies.
It is for me. If I'm gonna be honest, I was kind of just bored with Stromboli. I didn't hate it. I was bored.
Yeah, that's how I felt like about the whole middle part of The Godfather Part 3.
But then it's kind of like how I felt. But then it's like once I get through the middle part, it's like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Yeah, the
Once I
ending
get
is
through
really
the middle
good.
part or any part of Stromboli, it's like, what?
No, the ending of
like,
Stromboli is really good too. It's just shorter, right? Like, but
Yeah,
still, the
it's
last
really
third
good,
of Stromboli
shorter.
is really good.
And then, but the thing is, for me, it's like kind of redundant. It's like, what does it even mean? It's sure she has like a revelation, but and this is like a cool shot, but like,
It's telling
we
you
don't
the
even-
realist, Derek.
there's like nothing that's gonna happen from this, maybe, or maybe there is gonna be something, but it doesn't even matter because this chick may or may not change. This could be indication of change, or it could just be mean that she's like, oh, I'm definitely gonna make it to the town now.
Oh gosh, it's hard. I mean, I guess I think definitely my favorite performance was Ingrid Bergman. Nothing in either movie quality wise, like performance or otherwise, cinematography, I think matches up to her performance. I thought it was really strong. But also it's strong because like Roberto Rossellini makes it so strong. I'm really conflicted. I'm gonna go Stromboli barely edges out The Godfather Part 3, in my opinion. But that's a really tough one.
Really? Because honestly, I didn't really think her performance was all that great.
Really? I thought it was so good.
Because it's like, sure, it's focused on her, but what is she doing really? It's like,
The camera in her fucking face for like the whole movie.
yeah, that's the
It's
thing.
hard.
It's like,
And she's showing
Is
all
it-
these emotions. You don't think I can't understand her emotion, like her very
Yeah,
complex range of emotions
sure,
at
she-
any point in time.
she's showing emotion, yeah, but it's kind of like, what's the point? For me, it's like, if there's no point, then it's just like, I don't know, masturbatory, like literally masturbatory. It feels like.
Hmm.
I think the point that Caleb said is like to show what war does.
Yeah, but that's kind of implicated. And that's kind of boring in itself. Like, if there's no like actual narrative being explained through it,
Sure.
might as well just like
That about.
read.
We didn't get time to go too much into to Mary, but
Might as well just like watch like World War II documentaries.
no, but there's a difference. It's the point though. Is that World War II documentaries only show like the violence, but they don't show everyone else. Another one of my favorite movies. Let's say it's one of my favorite movies. I can't remember what it's called. Hiroshima on More. Kind of similar idea of what happens to everyone else. That time forgot. Anyways, that's that. Roberto Rossellini moves on. Francis Ford Coppola. I would say it's an upset, but also like if he's gonna come out at any point in the bracket, it's probably gonna be one of these first two rounds. You know. Roberto Rossellini's next movie that we're watching is it's I think actually well that's crazy. His second, third, and fourth movie are all part of a trilogy. Can't remember what the trilogy's called. Maybe it's literally just called like his neorealist trilogy. The first one is Germany Year Zero. I think it's actually really bad. I think we're really watching them like directly out of order. So that's great. But it'll be fine. Germany Year Zero is our next movie by Roberto Rossellini. And now we gotta decide which movie we're gonna be watching for next week. You guys have any ideas? Watched a lot of Italian movies lately. I don't want to keep no more Italian.
No more Italian. I watched like 8 hours straight of Italian.
Let's watch Ozu.
You want to do Osu versus Howard Hawks?
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Actually, wait.
Sounds good to me.
Let's do something lighthearted.
Okay. Well, Osu's usually kind of lighthearted, but
Yeah, but I was gonna say, do we still have? Yeah, we still have Spielberg on here. Let's do that.
Who?
Steven Spielberg.
Oh yeah, I'm fine with that. And yeah, I'm fine, perfectly with that. So it's gonna be Jean Renoir's The Crimes of Monsieur Long versus Steven Spielberg's Raiders of the Lost Ark. Crimes of Monsieur Long is a silent movie, I think. Which is always nice for us because we can actually find them online. It's not. It's 1936. It's around there. I know he has. Gosh, it's confusing. Okay, like these guys like Renoir, Osu, who like dabbled in the silent era, but like kind of came to popularity in the sound era. I get confused which one's which. Especially
Right.
Osu, literally doesn't he have like floating weeds, like the stories of floating weeds? Like that's ridiculous. One silent, one sound. Oh gosh. Anyways, Crimes of Monster Lang versus Raiders of the Lost Ark. One movie I'm sure a lot of people have seen, and one movie that I feel like most people haven't seen. But until then, I'm Matthew Moore. I'm joined by Derek Schwarzinski and Caleb Ferguson. Remember, watch more movies.